Imagine walking into the wild and seeing a lion cub crying in agony, his eyes swollen shut, his tiny body trembling in pain, while a swarm of bees hovers nearby. Now imagine who steps forward to help: a troop of monkeys. What happens next will challenge everything you thought you knew about nature. But before we take you into this heart-touching true story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel Animal Survival Stories, where the wild comes alive in stories that'll make you cry, smile, and believe in miracles. This isn't just a rescue, it's a moment of unexpected compassion in the cruelest parts of nature. It was the peak of the dry season in eastern Africa. The rivers had dried into dusty trails, and even the bravest animals were struggling to find food and water. Among them was a young lioness, alone with her 3-month-old cub. Once part of a strong pride, she had been driven out after a brutal fight with a rival female. Now, she wandered the plains with her baby, looking for safety. The cub, full of curiosity, followed his mother everywhere, stumbling behind her, pouncing on grasshoppers, and sniffing everything in sight. He didn't know the dangers that surrounded him. To him, the world was still a playground. One morning, as the lioness ventured further in search of water, she left her cub resting beneath a tree. She thought he would be safe for a few minutes. But in the wild, a few minutes can change everything. The cub wandered off, his little paws padding softly across the dry earth. His nose twitched. He had caught a sweet, unfamiliar scent. Nearby, a fallen log rested beside a dried-out bush. Inside that log was a large beehive. Unaware of the danger, the cub curiously nudged the log. The bees inside had already been agitated by the heat. That small push was enough. With a loud hum, they erupted, thousands of them pouring out like smoke from fire. The cub let out a high-pitched cry as the bees swarmed him. They stung his face, ears, and paws, anywhere they could reach. He stumbled back, trying to escape, but he was too young to understand what was happening. He rolled into a small ditch, yelping and crying in agony. His fur was covered in stingers. His tiny body shook violently. The swarm began to die down, but the damage was done. His eyes were nearly swollen shut. He couldn't move. He couldn't cry anymore. He just lay there, breathing shallow, broken breaths. And from the trees nearby, eyes were watching. High in the acacia trees, a troop of vervet monkeys had seen the entire attack. Normally, the sight of a lion would send them fleeing. Lions were predators, natural enemies. But this cub, he was no threat. He was just a baby, crying for his mother. Among the troop was an older male, scarred and wise, who had watched this mother and cub from a distance for days. He had seen how the lioness protected her cub, how the baby stumbled and played with butterflies, and how he always looked around for his mother when she moved away. Now, that same cub lay broken in a ditch. The elder monkey glanced at the others, and then did something no one expected. He climbed down. Slowly, cautiously, he approached the ditch. The cub didn't react. He was too weak. One by one, the monkey started removing the bees from the cub's fur. He picked them off gently. He flicked stingers away. Then, another monkey joined him. Then another. Predator and prey. And yet, in that moment, they were just living beings. Minutes passed. The monkeys continued their strange rescue, pulling stingers, placing cool leaves on the cub's head, brushing off dirt. But the cub still didn't move. And then, in the distance, a low growl echoed through the trees. The lioness had returned. She came running, her eyes wild, her nose tracking her cub's scent. When she reached the ditch, she froze. The monkeys. Her baby. Her heart pounded in her chest. Every muscle in her body tensed. She let out a guttural snarl. But the monkeys didn't run. The old male stepped back slowly. No threat. No noise. Just respect. The lioness approached her cub, sniffed him, then gently licked his face. A soft whimper escaped her throat. The pain in her eyes said everything. She didn't attack the monkeys. She didn't chase them away. Perhaps, somewhere inside, she understood. They had helped. And now, her job was to take over. That night, the lioness curled around her cub, shielding him from the wind. She didn't sleep. She just stayed close, breathing in rhythm with the cub, who trembled slightly in his sleep. And in the trees above, the monkeys watched silently. By morning, the cub had regained slight strength. He opened one eye, a slit. He blinked, confused. Then, slowly, he tried to stand. His legs wobbled, but he rose, pressing into his mother's side. The monkeys returned. This time, they brought leaves, wide, cool, healing leaves they'd seen other animals use. They didn't approach the cub directly, but dropped them gently near the ditch. The lioness didn't growl. She allowed it. For 2 more days, this unlikely truce continued. The cub's condition improved. The swelling on his face went down. His small roars returned, weak but growing stronger. The bond between the lioness and her baby deepened. She didn't leave him again. She kept him close, always touching, always watching. And from time to time, she'd glance up into the trees, where the monkeys sat, still and silent. On the 3rd day, the lioness stood up. She nudged her cub gently, encouraging him to move. He followed her, limping but alive. They disappeared into the tall grass. The monkeys watched them go. There was no celebration, just quiet acknowledgement. Something had passed between them. Something that can't be explained by instinct. In the heart of the wild, where survival often overshadows compassion, something beautiful happened. A lion cub, moments away from death, was saved, not by his own kind, but by animals who should have feared him. These monkeys didn't act out of obligation. They acted out of something deeper, something rarely seen in nature: empathy. There were no cameras, no humans, no applause. Just life, trying to preserve life. And maybe, just maybe, that's what survival really is. Not fighting each other, but recognizing pain in another and doing what we can to help. If this story touched your heart, if it made you see animals in a new light, then don't forget to subscribe to Animal Survival Stories. Every story we tell is real, emotional, and meant to remind us that even in the darkest parts of nature, hope still shines. We'll be back next week with another true story of survival, love, and compassion in the animal kingdom.